is Laurel of the Dabbling Hook, or Rel of the Dabbling Hook. And I needed to make a couple of quick pom-poms, so I figured I would try to show you what I do to make my pom-poms. So let's see if this works. Okay, what you're going to need, of course, is your material, whatever kind of faux fur that you prefer. I have quite a few, and I'm finding that I like some better than the others, so you're going to have to experiment and see what's out there. Some of them are more plush than others. Some of them are very wispier. I guess they're all made to obviously mimic certain animals, and I don't remember. I would say this is a silver fox or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, they have, I think they have names when you buy them at the store. So what you're going to need, like I said, your material, you're going to need some kind of template. These are just cardboard templates I cut out of bowls that I have that looked about the right size. So you're also going to need a really strong string of some sort, because you'll be tugging on when you sew this up quite a bit. I've tried yarn. If it's a softer material, the yarn is okay. Some of the material have really dense or rough, hard backing. That trying to pull yarn through, it often breaks. I found that this works. I've had this in my stash for God knows how long, and it's finally come in handy. So this one is pretty strong. I haven't broken it yet. You're going to need scissors. I just picked these up because these were closer to me, but you'll need regular scissors. And what I use, I don't use scissors to cut. I use, oops, wrong end. I use a X-Acto knife. Now, I saw this on a tutorial somewhere. I don't remember which one, but this is the best way. You do not want to take scissors and just cut into the material. You will regret that. Let me just tell you. You will be cleaning up fluff for more than days, probably for weeks. Okay, so what do? I have these two, one, to show you the different materials, but two, the different thicknesses of materials. Even though you use the same template size, you will not end up with the same size pom-pom. So this is a smaller one. This is from this smaller template. But even when I cut this from this larger template, if I cut the same size of this material, this one ends up really small. So you're going to, again, have to experiment to see which material works best for you, if you need to make a different template of a bigger size, but these are the two that I generally use. I use these for if you don't want a really big pom-pom, or maybe a child-sized pom-pom, and this one, especially with this material here, gives you a really nice size, a fun size. Okay, I'm going to use the big one because that's the size of pom-pom I need right now. So what I do is I take the material, turn it on its back, and I don't like to waste because this is very expensive. So I take my template and I lay it as close to the edge as possible so that I'm not wasting anything off to the side. And the other thing you're going to need is a marker, a pen of some sort, which I didn't bring, so let me go grab that. Okay, so I like to use a Sharpie because the back of the materials are all different colors, and it's you'll easily see it on here. You can see on the edge here there's some leftover. But if you use a pen on these darker ones, it's harder to see, at least for me, so I like a Sharpie. Plus it's on the underside and it'll be on the inside of the pom-pom. No one will ever see it. So what I do, I just lay the template down and I just trace around. Like I said, I don't like to waste, so I use as much of the edge as possible. And then when you pick it up, you'll be able to see your circle. And of course, since this was a spur of the moment kind of thing, I forgot something else, so I will be right back again. Okay. This is a slab of, I don't think it's marble. It's one of those composite, it's like a tray. And I picked it up. I don't remember where. I've had it forever. But you're going to need a hard surface to cut on. You don't want to do it on your table because you're using the X-Acto knife, and in case you go through, you don't want to scratch up your table. You obviously don't want to do it on the floor, on the rug, because chances are you can cut that as well. So I use this to put underneath my material. And then you take the X-Acto knife and you start cutting along the lines, and you're trying to cut the backing. You don't want to go all the way through, and of course my X-Acto knife is very dull right now because I used it a while back. Okay, so apparently Minion 1 has been trying to build stuff for his lizard and has been using my X-Acto knife, so I had to add a new blade. But I also sometimes use this if I don't have an X-Acto knife. This isn't the best because there's no leverage. At least with this you have a handle you can hold on to. This cramps up your hand after a while, but in a pinch you can use one of these blades. And now I can't get it back in its sleeve. There you go. So, options. Okay, so let's try that again. So you basically are doing, oh, there you go, definitely. Oops, I'm off camera. You're just following the lines and doing a light cut, and you're basically cutting the backing. You're doing your best to not cut all the way through because you don't want to cut the hairs. You just want to cut the backing. You will cut some, obviously, as you go, but the less you cut, the better, because all of this comes off. And if you're cutting all the way through, not only are you going to get a really blunt edge here that does not look good, but you're going to get so much more fluff coming out, and let me tell you, it is a pain to have to clean up. Typically, I do this outside. The last batch I did was on the deck towards the end of the summer, so I was able to shake it all out on the deck, but it still looked like, pets were having a shed party on the deck. Don't mind this part here. Once you put the pom-pom together, if it's like this is the edge and it's very matted and almost felted together, you can trim that off, but it shouldn't. That's why I try to get close to the edge. And again, be careful. 1, it's a new blade, and 2, see where I have my finger, my pinky, which I shouldn't, but my hand just automatically go in that position, which is why you need to go slow. Exercise caution. There goes the finger again. Light cuts, take your time, and take your finger out of the way. Do as I say, not as I do. And pull it apart. Now, missed one. Once you've pulled it apart, do not, I repeat, do not, and I will show you, I should have checked the edge better. I got too close to the edge, and look how blunt that is. So, once you're putting it together, this may or may not resolve itself, but, in my efforts not to waste. But what I mean by don't use a scissors and cut through, look how blunt that is. It doesn't look good. And it may be salvageable once you cinch it all up together, but we'll see. But there is a ton of fluff, so do not shake this inside the house. I repeat, do not shake this inside the house. Go to your garage or outside, brave the cold like it is right now, and shake it up there, but not in the house. So this is my large pom-pom template. This is the small, and you can see how the small fits in here. All right, now just for, oh, just taking this out of the way, expediency's sake, I'm going to try to show you, and again, I've forgotten something else, so I will be right back. Okay, in order to thread, you need needles, or a needle, a good one. I go back and forth. This is a bigger needle with the bend tip. The bend tip helps in getting through, but sometimes the bigger needle makes it a little more difficult to pass through. Then I use my regular size needle. I'm contemplating getting longer needles, but not as thick as this, to see how that works, but this is what I use. I might also recommend getting a thimble, so when you're trying to push the needle through, you have something to push with. Thought occurred to me the last time I made it, and I forgot that as well. So you're going to take your cord that you're using, and I just have a rubber band to keep it in place, and I pull about 24 inches. Sometimes it may not look as much, excuse me, or it may not be enough, but as you're threading it through, it looks like you're running out of cord, but once you cinch it together, you'll see that you do have enough. So I cut about 24 inches out. I just eyeball it. Okay. So it's about 12 inches doubled right now. Then I'm going to try it with the smaller needle. You thread your needle. Okay, so it's threaded, you get a short end, and then you have the rest of it. And then you want to go close to the edge, but not so close to the edge that, you know, as you're threading it through, it comes out. So I just go in, I think this is about a 1/4 inch or so. And I go in and I pick up some, and it's a little harder to see on this dark one, but, and this one has a pretty, it feels soft, but putting the needle through it, it feels tough for the backing. So I pull almost all the way through, and then sometimes I get lazy and I make wide stitches, and sometimes not so wide. Don't ask me the measurements of how far the stitches are, but you know, you eyeball it. You're basically doing a running stitch. It's tough. This is where the thimble will come in handy. So you basically do a running stitch all the way around, and I'm going to do this off camera because I will be struggling, and you don't need to see me struggling like that on camera, especially since I forgot the thimble, and I will be right back. Okay, I just wanted to show. So it may look like you're running out of thread as I'm about halfway around, and it may look like it's not enough thread, and just pull out all the excess as you go and try to contain it so it doesn't fly all over your place. So what you would do is just lightly give a tug, and you will have more cord to work with. So you just keep going, and I will be back. Oh, the other thing is when you're doing the running stitch, don't go all the way through here. You're going and picking up basically just the backing. So you're lightly going underneath the backing and pulling it through. You are not going like this and then back through. You don't want to do that. You're just picking up the backing. All right, I will see you at the end. Okay, so I am going to do my last stitch, and this is the beginning tail, so I'm right back at the beginning. Okay, now it looks like a little cup. So I take both ends, I hold on to them, and I stitch. Now, I've been contemplating about, I like my pom-poms when it's on, especially if I'm in the car and I have my hat on. When I lean back, I don't want to have a big hard thing, you know, getting between me and the headrest. So I've been contemplating not putting any stuffing in my pom-poms. It still looks like a pom-pom, and this one, especially this material, is big enough where you don't really need stuffing in there. It's still pleasing to look at, and it's nice and soft and squishy. But what I do, if I feel that it needs a little something, and the other thing I forgot to bring, I should not do this on the fly. I brought in some fiber fill, and I do not use a lot. Just like I'm thinking of not putting in any fiber fill. When I do, I just put in a little bit just to give it a little bit of shape if it's needed. So I start off small, and then I add a little more if I need to. Maybe just a tiny bit more for this one, but I just go in, add that in, tuck it in, and then again you grab both ends and try to, as you pull it close, the hairs tend to try to get caught in there. So push that in, take the hairs out of the way, and cinch close, tuck it in, cinch close. Now I find this part the hardest of the whole thing. You tie a knot, but it depends on the backing on these fabrics. The well, I just got a lot of fluff in my mouth. When you cinch it, you may not be able to get the backing cinch real close. This one, you can easily pull it open, as you can see. But if I close it, if I pull tight, it closes, but it never closes all the way. I know it's kind of hard to see, but the hole is still there. So you pull as tight as you can, and this is why a really strong cord or yarn of some sort is important. So I keep going off camera. So I do that double or surgeon's knot, I think, where you bring it over twice, but I do it 3 times so it really holds. And I pull, and with this bamboo silk you can give it a really good tug, and then you check, and if the hole isn't closed tight enough, this one actually worked out. If it's not closed tight enough, well, first I do a second knot just to get it nice and keep it in place. And if the hole wasn't closed tight enough, I just thread one of the other one of the strands, and I just do a few stitches back and forth to close it up. And the other thing I like is, now that you've tied it, it's all in one place. I like one string to be on one side, one to be on the other, so that when you feed it through the top of the hat, you have one on one side, one on the other. So I would just, since this one closed up pretty nicely and both strings are here, I'm going to take one of the strings and I'm just going to feed it and pull it through, and it's very difficult sometimes to get through all that. Yep. Hard to find your needle in all this hair. And this is where the thimble would have come in handy. So I feed it through so there's one on each end. And then you give it a little fluff because you've been manhandling it, and you end up with a nice big pom-pom. Okay, I should have zoomed out earlier. So here is your pom-pom. You can reshape it. And fortunately, that blunt end turned out, it worked out. It's right there and it's right at the base, so you're not going to see that. And there is your pom-pom. And again, you can pick which side. Usually when you tie it up, one side tends to lean one way more than the other. You kind of have like a bald spot on this side or a swirl on one side. So you pick which side you like better, which side you want facing front, but it's on the top of your head. No one's really going to notice. You're just going to notice that big fabulous pom-pom. So there's that. I keep knocking the table because I'm in a tight little spot. So there's the pom-pom. Again, figure out, find a nice round bowl and cut out a few sizes. You may want a small, medium, and large pom-pom. I just do these two sizes. So cut those sizes out. You know, put your bowl over the, you need some cardboard obviously. Put your bowl over it, draw the outline, cut it out so you have a template to work with, and try the different sizes and see which one works better for you. I think I used to have 3, a really small one, but you know, you're not going to put a pom-pom hat on a baby, and it was really small. So that is that. I hope that is helpful, and I will talk to you guys later. And number 1 tip, do not cut with the scissors all the way through. Number 2, do not shake the pom-pom in your house. You will be cleaning up for days and possibly weeks after that. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.